to A Year of War and Peace. I'm your host, Brian E. Denton. A Year of War and Peace is a daily, year-long, chapter-by-chapter reading of and meditation on Leo Tolstoy's epic novel, War and Peace. In these videos and podcasts, you'll be treated to a free reading of one chapter per day of the novel, plus a reflective essay I've written individually tailored to that day's chapter. These readings are offered for free, though if you'd like to support me, you can do so in one of three ways. First, you could purchase my ebook, A Year of War and Peace. It features the entire novel, plus all of my reflective essays, and it's only $2.99 on Amazon.com. You could also become a patron at patreon.com/Brian E. Denton. If you sign up there, you'll receive a sonnet once a month, plus a link to an ebook of my collected sonnets. Finally, if you like, you can make a one-time donation to my PayPal account. The email there is brianedenton@gmail.com. You can also use that email to contact me. I'd be happy to hear from you. Your support is greatly appreciated. Today's reading and reflection is from chapter 335. Chapter 335. If we assume, as the historians do, that great men lead humanity to the attainment of certain ends, the greatness of Russia or of France, the balance of power in Europe, the diffusion of the ideas of the revolution, general progress, or anything else, then it is impossible to explain the facts of history without introducing the conceptions of chance and genius. If the aim of the European wars at the beginning of the 19th century had been the aggrandizement of Russia, that aim might have been accomplished without all the preceding wars and without the invasion. If the aim was the aggrandizement of France, that might have been attained without the revolution and without the empire. If the aim was the dissemination of ideas, the printing press could have accomplished that much better than warfare. If the aim was the progress of civilization, it is easy to see that there are other ways of diffusing civilization more expedient than by the destruction of wealth and of human lives. Why did it happen in this and not in some other way? Because it happened so. Chance created the situation, genius utilized it, says history. But what is chance? What is genius? The words chance and genius do not denote any really existing thing, and therefore cannot be defined. Those words only denote a certain stage of understanding of phenomena. I do not know why a certain event occurs. I think that I cannot know it, so I do not try to know it, and I talk about chance. I see a force producing effects beyond the scope of ordinary human agencies. I do not understand why this occurs, and I talk of genius. To a herd of rams, the ram the herdsman drives each morning into a special enclosure to feed, and that becomes twice as fat as the others, must seem to be a genius. And it must appear an astonishing conjunction of genius with the whole series of extraordinary chances that this ram, who instead of getting into the general fold every evening goes into a special enclosure where there are oats, that this very ram, swelling with fat, is killed for meat. But the rams need only cease to suppose that all that happens to them happens solely for the attainment of their sheepish aims. They need only admit that what happens to them may have purposes beyond their ken, and they will at once perceive a unity and coherence in what happened to the ram that was fattened. Even if they do not know for what purpose they are fattened, they will at least know that all that happened to the ram did not happen accidentally, and will no longer need the conceptions of chance or genius. Only by renouncing our claim to discern a purpose immediately intelligible to us, and admitting the ultimate purpose to be beyond our ken, may we discern the sequence of experiences in the lives of historic characters and perceive the cause of the effect they produce, incommensurable with ordinary human capabilities, and then the words chance and genius become superfluous. We need only confess that we do not know the purpose of the European convulsions, and that we know only the facts, that is, the murders first in France, then in Italy, in Africa and Prussia, in Austria, in Spain, and in Russia, and that the movements from the west to the east, and from the east to the west, form the essence and purpose of these events. And not only shall we have no need to see exceptional ability and genius in Napoleon and Alexander, but we shall be able to consider them to be anything but like other men, and we shall not be obliged to have recourse to chance for an explanation of those small events which made these people what they were. But it will be clear that all those small events were inevitable. By discarding a claim to knowledge of the ultimate purpose, we shall clearly perceive that just as one cannot imagine a blossom or seed for any single plant better suited to it than those it produces, so it is impossible to imagine any two people more completely adapted down to the smallest detail for their purpose they had to fulfill than Napoleon Alexander with all their antecedents. All right, that concludes my reading of chapter 335. I will now proceed to my reflection on the same. A Year of War and Peace, day 335. The Sheepish Aims of Great Men. Wily Jacob successfully schemes to steal his brother's birthright. Loki plays a similarly deceitful role in Norse mythology. Kitsune regularly dupes samurai in Japanese folklore. These are just 3 examples of the trickster, a Jungian archetype defined in part by an ability to employ superior intellect in order to beguile or mislead others. Like all Jungian archetypes, we carry the trickster inside of us. In fact, the most beguiling of all tricksters might very well be human consciousness itself. What other entity, after all, has the power to convince us that our petty human bodies and experience, occupying less than an infinitesimal portion of the vast universe, are things of any great significance? This is partially what Tolstoy is getting at today with his analogy of the rams. A ram's intelligence is limited, blindingly so, by its experience. The ram tricks itself into thinking that the herdsman loves it. The herdsman feeds it, shelters it, cleans it. There is no creature more beneficent to the ram than the herdsman. This deception is indulged until the ram is slaughtered and placed deliciously on the herdsman's dinner plate. Tolstoy has it that we are like the rams. We labor continuously under the illusion that all of history speaks of, for, and by us. We center ourselves in the play of reality. This is error. Tolstoy writes, "Only by renouncing our claim to discern a purpose immediately intelligible to us, and admitting the ultimate purpose to be beyond our ken, may we discern the sequence of experiences in the lives of historic characters, and perceive the cause of the effect they produce, incommensurable with ordinary human capabilities. And then the words chance and genius become superfluous." Tolstoy believes that the historians of his time get history wrong because they take the wrong point of view in their adoption of the great man theory of history. This is an idea Tolstoy develops further in the book's second epilogue. Yes, there are 2. Could it be that we make the same mistake? If, as A Year of War and Peace has argued previously, we are the historians of our own existence, then perhaps many of our frustrations and miseries are born of the mistaken intuition that we are in control of things, that we steer the course of our own life events. Daily Meditation. The conscious mind is much less the CEO and the decision maker and the thought thinker than it thinks it is. This is the beginning of insight into appreciating that whereas, while you've been thinking that you're the pilot of the plane is actually largely on autopilot. Thinking that you're the pilot doesn't help, and in some ways, it hurts. Robert Wright, What Buddhism Got Right About the Human Brain. All right, that concludes my reading of chapter 335 of War and Peace. Thanks so much for listening. Remember that if you'd like to support me, you can do so either by purchasing the ebook A Year of War and Peace, becoming a patron at patreon.com, or making a one-time donation to PayPal. The links to all that are down below in the description, alongside my links to my Amazon wish list for books and movies. If you decide to purchase a book or a movie for me, we'll set up a Zoom call or something to discuss that book or that movie. Tomorrow, we're going to be reading and reflecting on chapter 336. I hope you'll join me. Until then, take care of yourselves and others.